All right, so if we're solving multi-step equations, all we're really doing is adding a few steps to this process that we learned yesterday. Okay, and that first step that we're going to add is combining like terms. So we're going to sort of take what we did a few days ago and combine it with what we did yesterday. Okay, so we have three like terms here, 2x, 3x, and x. Together, those make 6x. Okay, and the minus 2 didn't change, equals negative 14. And then from there, we would just use the same equation solving steps from yesterday. We would add 2 to both sides. Okay, get rid of our constant first. Okay, and then we would divide by 6. All right, and we'd find out that x equaled negative 2. Okay, so let's take a look at that in practice. Again, solving multi-step equations, you copy down your definitions there. If possible, combine like terms first, and then we're going to take the same steps we did yesterday to solve the equation. Let's try a couple of examples together. All right, and then you'll do some on your own. So first up here, we have this equation. We have the 4x and the 4x. They can be combined because they have the same variable. So that's 8x. Plus 14 didn't change, equals 38. All right, we would minus 14 from both sides to try to solve this equation. All right, we're isolating the x. We always get rid of the constant term first. Remember, the constant term is the number without a variable. And then we're going to divide by the coefficient. So we'll divide both sides by 8. And we find out here that x equals 3. Okay, let's take a look at the next one here. We have a fraction involved this time. No big deal. All right, here are our like terms, positive 8 and negative 10. So we have 1/2 b minus 2 equals 6. All right, we combined our constants. All right, now we're going to go ahead and solve by adding our constant to both sides. Okay, because that's the opposite of subtraction. So 1/2 b is going to equal 8. And then finally, we want to divide by 1/2. Divide by 1/2. All right, and we find out that b ends up equaling 16. All right, go ahead and pause the video and try numbers 2 and 4, and then come back and see if you got them right. So there's your answers for 2 and 4. If you need to pause to observe the work or to copy it down, go ahead and do that. We're actually going to skip this word problem. We'll come back to some word problems later, but just not today. All right, here's 3 more problems, 6, 7, and 8. Again, I'd like you to pause the video. I want you to try each of them on your own, see what you can come up with. Obviously, you can work with people in your group if you need to, and then come back and check your answers. Okay, there's your answers for 6, 7, and 8. All right, and if you need to pause again, all right, to copy down anything that you missed, all right, or to just observe the work before we move on, you feel free to do so. All right, let's finish up. Okay, we have the perimeter of the rectangle is 65. So if we know these two sides, don't forget, this came up the other day, the other two sides, all right, are the same as the sides they're across from, right? So we're going to add all these sides together, right? That's perimeter, okay? We've done that a few times now. Okay, so if we add them all together, we'll be combining like terms. Okay, so we have 3 and 1/4x, 2x, 3 and 1/4x, and 2x. Okay, so it looks like it's going to be 4x plus 6.5 makes 10.5x plus 2, and that equals 65 according to the original problem. And then from there, I want to go ahead and solve that equation. So I'll minus 2 from both sides, right? Doing my inverse operation. So 10.5x equals 63. And then I'm going to take 63 and I'm going to divide that by 10.5, right? And I'm going to find out, okay, that x equals 6. Now, the second question, the follow-up here, is what are the dimensions of the rectangle? So we actually want to take that 6, and we're going to bring it back up here to the beginning and plug it in where the x's are, all right, to see what the actual dimensions of the rectangle are in number form. Okay, so 2 times x is 12, right? That's easy. So we're going to have a rectangle here. It's 12 on one side, and then 3 and 1/4, okay, times 6, and then we're adding 1 to that. Gives us the other side, which is 20.5. So those would be the actual dimensions of our rectangle. All right, next up here, James bought a cheeseburger, fries, and a drink for dinner. Cheeseburger was 3 times the price of the fries. Okay, and the drink and the fries were the same price. Okay, so if the meal cost $12.50, what was the price of each item? So the cheeseburger was 3 times the fries. The fries and the drink were the same, so x and x. We don't know what they are. we just know that they're the same. And all together that has to make 1250. So again, we'll start the same way. We'll add like terms. So we have 3x, 4x, 5x. Okay, equals 1250. And then we're going to take that 1250 and divide by 5. Okay, ends up giving us $2.50. All right, which would have been the cost of the drink and the fries because they said that they were the same. Okay, and then if you want the cost of the cheeseburger, we said it was 3 times the cost of the fries. So we would take our answer times 3. We find out the cheeseburger was $7.50. And the last problem here, Frankie solved the equation, describe the mistake, and record the correct solution. So if we're looking down through here, what mistake could they have made? Let's see. We can check here, 3.9 and 4.6 are like terms. That gave us 8.5, so that's right. 2.3 and 1.2 are like terms, and that gave us 3.5. So it looks like the first step is okay. All right. Second step here, if we add 8.5 to both sides, right, we get 10.5, so that step's okay. All right, so then how do we get 7? Well, let's double check. Does 10.5 divided by 3.5 equals 7? Because they should have divided. Okay, so 10.5 divided by 3.5 gives us 3. So it looks like Frankie subtracted in that last step. That was the same mistake from yesterday's problem. All right, once you're all finished here, go ahead and work on the homework for this particular lesson.